We are heading into Chicago Triathlon weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We've got the expo starting on Friday. We have Becca Sands and Dan Segura here to chat a little bit more. Becca is the senior marketing manager with Lifetime, who helps to put on the event, and Dan is competing in his very first triathlon. So thank you both for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having both of us.
Thanks for having us.
And then Becca, first of all, I want to go ahead and ask you, obviously, a different world from when we last all competed in 2019. What are some of the changes that we're going to see as far as the spectators and the people competing in the triathlon?
Yeah, well, the biggest change I'm seeing going forward is so much excitement for this year's Lifetime Chicago Triathlon. People are so excited to be returning to downtown Chicago and experience everything that race day has to offer. And while the virtual events last year kept everybody motivated, there are just things about race day that can't be replicated, right? Like the buzz of race morning, the excitement of the start, the excitement that the crowd gets, that's feeling that's when the announcer announces that athlete's name across the finish line and that volunteer giving that participant their well-earned medal. Those are all experiences that Lifetime is so excited to be bringing back to Chicago and the participants this year. I think just one thing that's going to be different this year is just how much excitement to be back that's going to be felt.
And then the expo starting on Friday, it's going to be at the Chicago Hilton on South Michigan Avenue. Anything different or anything that people need to know about attending there? Mask obviously required for people indoors.
Yep. Masks will be required within the expo, and then we're strongly encouraging them, anytime social distancing is not possible, we will be offering rapid COVID tests for anyone that wants them throughout the race weekend.
Now, Dan, let's talk a little bit about your journey, because you had an incredible, weight loss journey that I want you to share, starting with 2 marathons starting in 2017, and now we're starting with a triathlon. How did that all come about?
I mean, that's what really initially drove me to do a triathlon was because of the weight loss journey, right? 140 pounds down, 2 marathons, apologies, I've always been a type A kind of person, figuring out what's that next challenge, right? And being in Chicago all my life, I knew exactly this was the opportunity. And I ended up initially signing up for the sprint, which is about half the distance. And even though it was my first triathlon, I knew I was capable of so much more. So a couple of days later, I ended up folding and ended up signing up for the international and Olympic race. So I've been training hard. It's long and hard, this whole journey. I mean, in the midst of the pandemic and everything, it was definitely difficult. I mean, but from working from home and everything, it was definitely much more convenient to begin training, right? I mean, in the middle of it, I ended up getting a Peloton, which I got into more cycling. So my workout regimens were about 25 to 30 miles a day on the bike. And then in the afternoons, about 4 to 7 miles running. So that's kind of how my journey has been so far.
Because it's also been, really hot outside. So how has that affected, especially, the running aspect of it, for you? And what tips you have, last minute tips you have for other people who are doing the race?
Last minute tips, definitely stay hydrated. I mean, I on a daily basis, I'm drinking about 1 to 2 gallons of water. So especially given, Chicago heat recently, it's definitely been difficult to definitely hydrate for days prior. But other than that, I mean, on top of that, throughout the workouts, definitely make sure you have that after hydration too.
And then Becca, I want to ask you, as far as spectators, anything that they need to follow or any changes going on this year?
Of course. Well, the Lifetime Chicago Triathlon is an amazing event to not only participate, but spectate. So if you're not participating, I recommend coming down because it is quite an experience just to spectate it. We do recommend that spectators have a plan before race day. We have resources for this on our website, chicagotriathlon.com. It'll tell you places to park, places you can get discounted parking, some recommended viewing locations, and also athlete tracking, which is really helpful. You can sign up to get text message updates as to where your athlete is. So it'll tell you, where you can meet them on the course, when to get to the finish line. So those are our tips. There's more on our website. But yeah, come on down and spectate. It's quite the event to watch.
Now, had you come down, Dan, as far as seeing the triathlon and before you started training for this?
Never. I mean, at one point I ended up volunteering the year prior for the Chicago Marathon, but I've never actually witnessed the Chicago Triathlon. So it'll definitely be a different experience being the one actually racing.
And what advice would you give to somebody? Obviously, people are working from home, people's lifestyles are different. Gyms, are just kind of back open. Some people may not feel comfortable doing it, but if someone is trying to take that journey on themselves, what is something that you took maybe from your very first, training session, for 2017 to get you to now to help inspire other people?
Yeah, in all honesty, anyone can do it. And I really mean that, no exaggeration. I mean, funny story, but I learned how to swim actually just this year. And my friends and family thought I was crazy, initially signing up for a triathlon without knowing how to swim, let alone even owning a bike. And even before that, right, like even as a large kid, beginning training for that marathon as well. I mean, once again, even through adversity, anyone can pretty much do it. It all takes determination and time. So I say always take that leap of faith. Don't be afraid to try new things. And honestly, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that. So definitely giving that same advice to anyone watching this.